Hello everyone, my name is Alberto. I'm one of the co-founders and creative director at We Are Knitters, and today I'm going to talk to you about knitting and DIY overall. First of all, I wanted to raise a few questions like, are people knitting nowadays? If so, are they young? Are they elderly people? Are they women, men? I won't extend that much the suspense, and I will say that yes, people are knitting nowadays, and that knitting has no age and no gender. Probably when you think about knitting, you think about this elderly woman, probably with white hair, knitting in the couch in front of the fireplace. Well, that's not the case anymore. I still remember around 10 years ago going to New York City with my business partner Pepita Marin, and walking down the streets we saw that there were a lot of yarn stores, there were people knitting in cafeterias, we even saw this super young hipster girl knitting in the subway, and I remember we looked at each other and we were like, what's going on here? So the things that we came back to Madrid, to Spain, where we are based, and we realized that nothing like that was happening here. Stores were not that nice, the yarn was not that beautiful, and patterns were a little bit outdated. We gave it a try. We learned how to knit with video tutorials we found online, and we did it. So we thought, okay, if we were able to learn how to knit, then maybe some other people will be able to. Now I can say a few years later that around 60% of our customers are aged under 40 years old. That also confirms the statement that the Association of Creative Industries made in America, saying that crafters nowadays are the youngest that they've ever been. They also say that around 40% of crafters nowadays are millennials. So what's the reason behind all this? I'd say that probably it's because younger generations are more concerned about the environment. So while making your own clothes, you are having a huge impact on the industry, on the fashion industry. So the thing is that some people may think that making your own clothes is cheaper than going down to a store and getting a sweater or a scarf. I'd say that it really depends on the quality of the yarn. If it's top quality, it will probably be more expensive, but younger generations are more willing to spend more money if that has an impact on the environment. The second reason will be probably customization. Nowadays, people, they don't want to look like other people, they want to be different. So when making your own projects, you can adapt the pattern, you can use different stitches, maybe you can make, or cannot, you make a mistake, and that makes a unique piece. And finally, I would say that gifting. During the gifting season, we have a huge range of products to choose from. But if we do something with our own hands, a handmade piece, the person receiving it will know that you've spent hours making it, that you've been thinking about him or her all the time, and at the end, it will be a very special gift. So now we know that not only elderly people are knitting, but also younger generations. But what about their gender? So it's no mystery that the majority of makers are women, but that's changing bit by bit. There were studies that said that around 30% of crafters in America were men, and in France, 30% of their male population have tried knitting at least once, and 50% are willing to give it a try. I can confirm all this because a little bit over a year ago, we did our very first pop-up store in Paris. From the very beginning, a lot of people coming in were men. We thought that because it was during December, they were buying yarn for their mother or their sister or their wife, But at some point we were very curious, so we started to ask them, and they told us that actually it was for them because they wanted to relax at home. There was a recent article on Newsweek, the American magazine, stating that a lot of businessmen in the city of London knit at home to distress. This is because knitting decreases your heartbeat, makes you to be focused on what you're doing, makes you concentrate, and makes you forget about your day-to-day problems. So now we know that younger people are knitting, that also more and more men are starting to knit. But what's the main reason behind all this? I'd say that probably is because the human being is very curious and it's always trying new stuff. It's always looking for new challenges and new things to do. There's this quote by Linda Ong, that she's a culture trend specialist, that says that mental fitness is the new wellness movement, but creativity is the new workout. I completely agree with this because I have a very clear example. When we first started We Are Knitters, we were only a knitting brand, we only had knitting kits. But the moment that we started to have more clients, more community, they very fast started to demand new challenges, new stitches, new patterns, new techniques. Nowadays, I can say that years after, we are a multitasking company that not only does knitting, but also crochet, petit pois, embroidery, weaving, latch hook, macrame, a lot of techniques. So the thing is that could all this have been done without digitalism or without the internet? Well, the answer is probably no. It's clear that internet has had a huge role to spread the DIY love around the world. The thing is that we live in this super hyper connected world. We are super digital. We are working in front of a laptop all day. We have our cell phones in our hands all the time. We get home, we watch TV. So the thing is that we kind of have forgotten how to make things with our own hands. So when knitting or crocheting or any DIY technique, you see that you are able to make things with your own hands. This gives you a feeling that you rarely get by doing other activities. It's very good for your self-esteem. You feel very proud of yourself. And the thing is that the very first thing that you want to do when achieving all this is to post it on Instagram. The thing is that from the very beginning, we encouraged people, our customers, to post all their pictures using the hashtag We Are Knitters. We already have over 300,000 posts with this hashtag. And the thing is that people feel so proud of themselves that the first thing that they want to do is to show the world what they are doing, what they are capable of. So the thing is that, to summarize, I wanted to say that there's a whole new generation of people learning new skills, learning how to knit, learning how to crochet. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, no one is going to judge you, no one is going to think anything about you. Younger generations just don't care. The thing is that we live in an hyper-connected world, and there's like a whole movement of back to basics to disconnect from all this connectivity. And at the end of the day, probably knitting is the new yoga.